Red Dead Redemption 2 versus Zelda Breath of the Wild is fascinating to me because on the surface, both games are all about this huge open world, right? But in practice, they feel completely different to play, and I think that this can be explained with food. The combat in Red Dead and Zelda is like making a taco. The awesome thing about tacos is that you can put almost anything into them. You can put in meats and cheeses and veggies and peppers, salsa, sauces, and have it taste delicious. So there's infinite combinations, and it's all up to how you, the chef, wants to craft your meal. Zelda's combat is just like a taco because you have almost unlimited mechanics you can utilize, like swords, bows, boomerangs, bombs, magnesis, stasis, shield, stealth, surfing, physics. You can kill a Lionel with a minecart. You can make a metal catapult, put a bomb on top, drop a boulder on the other side, and then detonate it remotely. Red Dead 2 also has these unlimited possibilities. You have guns, fistfighting, stealth, lassos, dynamite, fire, throwing weapons. You can kill people off a horse, you can kill people on a horse, you can kill people with a horse. So both of these games have a taco-inspired combat system, in that every fight they say, okay, we've given you infinite possible combinations, and now cook this however you want. But from here, there is a critical difference in these two games' combat. Zelda does have unlimited ways that you could fight enemies, but it heavily limits the resources you have at any given time. So it's like you go over to Zelda's house to make some tacos, and King Hyrule says, all right, Link, you're the chef here, go ahead and cook tacos with anything in my fridge. And you say, oh hell yeah, I know the perfect recipe for steak tacos, let's do this. And you open up his refrigerator, and there's like no food in here. There's only 2 peppers, a bunch of lettuce, some chicken, a squash for some reason, and suddenly your plan to make your best steak tacos is ruined because Zelda has almost none of your favorite ingredients. But then this magical thing happens. You try making something new, right? You say, okay, well, I wouldn't normally do this. I'm not a big fan of these ingredients, but since I'm being forced to, let's try throwing in some of this lettuce and some chicken. I've never tried this salsa before. Let's see if this works. Peppers, some of this seasoning. And before you know it, you've made a new taco recipe that you never would have cooked otherwise, all because you had limited food and you had to get creative. So in the combat, they give you limited ingredients and you have to get creative. The insane thing that they added into this game is that weapons just break after a few hits, and arrows are super rare. Shooting monsters is the most powerful fighting tactic, but you can't just shoot arrows all the time because you hardly have any. And you can't just use your strongest weapons every fight because they break. So Zelda gives you hardly any of the good stuff, and you're forced to instead utilize those weaker combat tools that you wouldn't otherwise. You have to try using boxes, or rolling boulders down a hill, or knocking monsters off a cliff, or setting grass on fire to get an aerial attack, or floating a bomb barrel up in the air and then blowing it up before they see you. This scarcity is exactly what makes Zelda's combat so engaging. You're given infinite possibilities, but heavily limited resources. Just like when you cook dinner with only what's left in your fridge, Zelda gives you a handful of weird new ingredients every single fight, and then forces you to cook a solution that you never would have experienced otherwise. But in Red Dead's combat, they give you unlimited resources to work with. So it's like you go over to Red Dead's house to make tacos, and Dutch opens up his fridge, and there is a mountain of food in here, like anything you could want. And you go, oh, hell yeah, now we can make my best steak tacos. And having all this food is amazing, right? Because now you can use the best taco ingredients every single meal. You never even have to try using those crappy ones over there. But it also means you never have a reason to try something new, right? Like, why would you? You have all the best ingredients, there's no reason to use anything else. So in Red Dead's combat, they give you unlimited ingredients to cook with, because the strongest tactic in the game by far is to shoot people, and you have unlimited bullets. You can buy all the guns and bullets you want in town or at camp. You're never really short on money after the first missions, and enemies drop tons of bullets anyways. And while guns are definitely very, very fun at first, this abundance eventually makes things feel pretty repetitive. You have no incentive to ever use those weaker mechanics like lassos or stealth or dynamite, because it is strictly better to just shoot that guy with a gun. Aim assist makes this worse because it literally sets up the shot for you. And then they just keep making the guns and bullets more powerful as the game goes on, and so you just keep shooting people. It's like if you cooked tacos every day, but the steak keeps tasting better and better every day while all the other ingredients taste worse. Well, then you're just gonna keep making steak tacos every day. And so 30 hours later, after you've cooked your 200th steak taco, you eventually say to Red Dead, look, this was really delicious at first, but honestly, I'm getting bored of making the same steak tacos with this same spoon over and over. I want to cook a new recipe, man. And Dutch goes, whoa, your spoon is in poor condition. You got to use some spoon oil to maintain that. And you go, okay, that's cool that I have to maintain my spoon, but that doesn't really change anything. I feel like you're focusing on the wrong thing here. I really just want to cook with different ingredients. And Dutch says, well, you just unlocked a double-barreled spoon. And you're like, look, I really don't need a more powerful spoon. I just want to cook something new. All right. But what if I add spoon eye? No, please stop improving my spoon. Again, the shooting is really fun at first, and getting double-barreled guns or Deadeye is cool, but after 100 shootouts, you really just want to fight in new ways, like actually have to use stealth or lassos or dynamite or fist fighting, but there's never a reason to. The game actually discourages you from experimenting because if you die, you permanently lose a bunch of money and respawn really far away. Hey! What are you doing over here? Where are my steak tacos? Oh, I was just trying to make a new taco recipe. I thought it could be fun. Well, that tastes shitty, so I'm gonna steal money from your wallet. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's a bummer because they did build the ingredients for interesting combat into the game. Like, if they had made bullets really rare, then you would actually have to use different tools and make hard decisions every fight. But instead, the combat gets increasingly repetitive as you shoot out your 500th steak taco, and no amount of spoon oil could lube up my frustration. Now, story is where Red Dead totally makes up for the combat because Red Dead's writing is legitimately so good that it makes you care more about your digital horse than you do about your real-life dog. Arthur and Dutch are probably my two favorite characters in any video game, and the depth of the gang members is incredible. I won't spoil anything, but the story alone makes this game worth playing 100%. My only minor issue is that the open world and the storyline often feel like they're two separate games that have very little crossover. It's sort of like you have the open world restaurant right here, and this is where you cook up your own meal and do whatever you want, but then right next door is the storyline restaurant, where Rockstar is serving you a story pre-made that you just sit back and enjoy. And then you kind of bounce back and forth between these during the game, and it can be kind of jarring when you're roaming the open world and then you start a mission and Rockstar rips the tacos out of your mouth and feeds you their pre-cooked storyline. This really isn't a huge deal since both restaurants taste amazing, but it does feel like they could have brought more of that open world feeling into their storyline missions rather than having them feel so distinct. Whereas Zelda really doesn't try to make a story. Like, Zelda's story is pretty forgettable, and I say that because I literally forgot it. You're rescuing Zelda, and there's something about discovering powers, but the game just doesn't really emphasize that, and instead, King Hyrule goes, yo, Link, check out this big f***ing kitchen I made you. Look at all these crazy taco ingredients. And you go, okay, but real quick, where did all these ingredients come from? Where is this kitchen? Why is that parrot in here? And Hyrule goes, don't worry about it, bro. Just have fun making tacos. Do you want me to, like, save your daughter? Or look, Zelda is trapped in a 100-year Hell's Kitchen cook-off with Ganon Ramsay, but she'll be fine. Now get out of here, you little rascal. Go bake an apple or something. So Hyrule sends you off into his kitchen with almost no direction, and then just bails. And during your adventures, you'll meet the Mangorons, and the Zoronions, and the Gerudos, and the Doritos, and the Yiga, but there's not a ton of character development, right? They basically say, save Princess Zeldermelon from Ganon Ramsay, but no rush, and then from there, you're free to cook whatever tacos you want. There's nothing wrong with Zelda's approach, they just chose to focus primarily on other things, but at the end of the day, Red Dead provides a substantially deeper storyline and characters versus what you get in Zelda. The music in both Zelda and Red Dead 2 is gorgeous, but it's very subtle. You're often just left with the sounds of nature, and then there's this haunting melody that kicks in right when you discover something beautiful. It's kind of like the open world is this huge, delicious cake, and the music is just a dash of whipped cream on top. It's delicately placed, it's just enough to be noticeable, but not enough to overpower the cake's flavor. Whereas other games are like,
it's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared.
Red Dead's graphics is like watching a fast food commercial on TV. Like, you see an ad for a Whopper or something and it looks amazing and you go, holy shit, I gotta get one of those. But then you go actually buy one in real life and it looks like a deflated testicle. It's not even close to how good it looked on TV. This is my problem with Red Dead's graphics. I legitimately played this game and went, oh my god. These are the most beautiful graphics I have ever seen. Like, I forgot how incredible nature can be. Red Dead, you've reminded me of how gorgeous our planet is. You know what? I'm gonna go outside and experience the world. And then you go outside And you remember that Earth is fucking ugly. Real life looks last gen compared to Red Dead 2. Even when I go to a legitimately beautiful place, after playing Red Dead, I'm like, yeah, this river is pretty cool, but it could really use a lens flare. Zelda's graphics don't have this problem at all because they aren't realistic. They're stylized and cel shaded. So I look at it and I go, oh my god, that is gorgeous. But I'm not comparing it to real life in my head, so it stays separate from actual nature. I realize that this is the dumbest review of graphics ever, but I'm just desperately asking Rockstar to stop making such incredibly beautiful graphics because you're ruining Earth for me. Lastly, I want to talk about the element of surprise. Have you ever been really hungry at night, and so you decide you're gonna go look for a late night snack in your kitchen, but you just don't really remember what food you have in your kitchen, and so you just start rummaging around, right? And you're looking through the cupboards and go, okay, I got some granola, some crackers, I got a squash, obviously, got a Whopper for some reason. Oh wait, is that a Toblerone? I didn't know I had a Toblerone in here. I love Toblerone, that's awesome. That feeling of discovering some delicious food in your pantry totally by surprise magically makes that food taste amazing, right? It's just like when someone brings donuts into the office or a bakery is giving out free samples. Good food tastes better when you didn't expect to get it. This is exactly the same experience of playing Breath of the Wild. When you start the game, they don't tell you where anything is, and you just gotta go look for stuff yourself. It's like showing up to Hyrule's house for dinner and the king says, yo, sorry, I'm really busy. I gotta bake the shit out of this apple, but just go look around my kitchen and you'll find something to eat. And you say, where? Dude, this is a huge kitchen. I don't know where anything is. And Hyrule yells back, sorry, busy. And King Hyrule just bails. And so you start playing the game and you just have to explore on your own because Hyrule didn't tell you anything. And pretty soon you start finding exciting things all over the world like shrines and stables and fairy fountains. But now every single discovery is totally unexpected and it gives you that same joy as when you find your unexpected favorite food in your kitchen. Every inch of this world has that joy of surprise, all because Hyrule gave you no information about what was in here in the first place. And best of all, the coolest parts of the game are only experienced if you go out and find them. Like the time I was wandering through a frozen mountain, I noticed this dinky little path, followed it for 5 minutes, and eventually found a hidden shrine leading into this incredible flying chase sequence. And I won't spoil the actual footage, but this was one of my all-time favorite gaming moments because I had no clue it was about to happen. Or how I found my 2 favorite villages in the game way after I had beaten the main story. I had no clue they existed. The total lack of guidance is precisely what makes this world so exciting to explore. Hyrule never says, hey Doug, go to this spot right now. He just sits back and keeps baking apples and setting off the fire sprinkler. Red Dead 2 has an equally massive and detailed open world, but they also have a mission system, and this dramatically changes exploration. It's like you go over to Red Dead's house for dinner and you say, dude, you wouldn't believe this. I was at Hyrule's place for dinner last night, and he forced me to go through his kitchen and find food all by myself with no direction. And Dutch says, my god, that is uncivilized. And you're like, well, their civilization was literally destroyed. And Dutch says, look, I'm gonna make you find food to eat, but I put a big fucking label on all the cabinets so that you know where to find everything. And you go, oh, well, that's convenient, thank you. So Red Dead put these big labels all over their map called mission icons. And these basically tell you, hey, you can find something exciting at this specific location. In many ways, giving the player this information is really fantastic because now you can quickly go to the specific content that you want. You don't have to go aimlessly wandering around to find something exciting like you sometimes have to in Zelda. But there's a trade-off here, right? Because the game is telling you, hey, if you go to this spot, you'll find a Toblerone, it loses that element of surprise, even if the mission itself tastes amazing, because you were told that it would be there in the first place. And the missions themselves don't give you any freedom, so you can't really discover new things there. Now, with that said, there are a ridiculous number of little things that you can discover around the map, like landmarks or random encounters, and these give the world a real sense of life and vibrance. But the problem is that none of my random encounters turned into huge, memorable moments. They're just these fun little appetizers, and the best moments are specifically saved for missions. So it's interesting because Red Dead's world is probably more detailed and varied than Zelda's, and that is saying something. But by taking the most exciting parts and locking them into missions and labeling them for you, it removes a lot of the magic of exploring the world. I never had that feeling that I did in Zelda that something incredible might be right around the corner if I go looking for it, because if there was something incredible, the game had already told me about it. Whereas Zelda's real magic only happens because nothing is labeled, because you're just wandering through the wilderness, opening cupboards and finding some old chocolate. With all that said, let me just gush for a sec. I love both of these games. These are easily two of my all-time favorites, and it's a little like comparing your two favorite restaurants, right? You might want to eat at one versus the other depending on your particular mood, but they're both 1,000 times better than a fucking Whopper. But in general, if you're fine following someone else's recipe to make a delicious meal, then head to Red Dead's Kitchen. And if you want to make your own tacos with zero guidance and cook up some totally unique, beautiful mess, then Hyrule Kitchen is the place for you. But the fact that both games took the same open world genre and cooked up completely different experiences is worth celebrating to me. And that's why I'm proud to present both Red Dead and Zelda with my highest possible honors: 3 Michelin Whoppers. Hey, just want to quickly say thank you so much for watching, and holy crap, thank you for all the support on the channel recently. Like, I'm just blown away that people are enjoying all these dumb videos, but I'm really grateful, and I'm gonna keep working on as many more as I possibly can. Right now, I'm kind of planning on putting out a mix of the food videos and the gaming challenges coming up, so let me know if you have any requests or suggestions. You're the best. Love ya.